Welcome back to the Bombchu Gaming Podcast. My name is Andron, and joining me today are...
I'm Chris.
And I'm Austin.
And today we're going to talk about what the heck the Ataribox actually is, and if people are going to even buy it. I honestly don't know much about it. Like, I think it was their response. Well, it's not even a response, like Atari wasn't around. So it was kind of like the NES Mini made their thing, and then Atari suddenly was like, we're going to do it too, but not. Do you know more about it, Austin, or am I getting it kind of right there?
So it's basically a little Linux box, and it comes with some Atari games, which you can get readily just about anywhere. You can get it on your phone. You can get Atari collections on PC, on consoles. They have many boxes, kind of like the NES or SNES Mini, not as high quality, but they're out there. So that's kind of like the selling point. But then they're also pitching it as this new modern platform, so you can do video streaming of like Netflix or normal PC things, and it's just like, okay, so why does this exist? This is something that has been readily available in many other devices. The only difference here is you have some Atari games thrown in, which again you can get on any other device that does all the same things this does. So what's the point?
Yeah, I have no clue, because even like looking into it after you mentioned that specific thing as a topic, like I kind of looked around and I was like, what games are on it? And it just seemed like, oh, you have all the old Atari games. I was like, yeah, so what?
and they won't even give like a full list of what Atari games are going to be
because
included.
They don't know.
They probably don't.
They don't have a working prototype. That's why they went to Indiegogo instead of Kickstarter.
Yeah, didn't they get kicked off of Kickstarter?
Because they don't have a working prototype, and you have to have a prototype in order to actually do funding on Kickstarter.
See, that I didn't know about. That's good, actually.
Yeah, the aesthetic design looks cool.
It looks really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the wood paneling, but
they have nothing other than that. There's nothing else working at the moment. Atari isn't even the company that it originally was. People think this is Atari, but Atari is the company that is doing this is now, they just own Atari licenses, and they're just like, yeah, let's make money off of this name that is actually a dead company.
Yeah, they had bought the license for all the Atari stuff 10-ish years ago, something like that. And yeah, everybody at Atari now, none of this is Atari from any time that people would have known them. So
see, I didn't even know about that. Like, I assumed Atari was like trying to resurrect themselves, and that's the way I thought of it. So I actually was not familiar with them, just not actually being the real, like I think you're saying, the real Atari. Just even speaking on that, like the way it looks like they're trying to go with it is they added an AMD GPU in there, I guess, some other things, but I haven't heard like the actual GPU they added, so I don't know how like high end the current stuff in there is going to be, you know?
Right, and so they're trying to pitch it as like, we're also going to have exclusive modern games, like people are going to be developing new modern games just for this, and it's like, who on earth is going to limit themselves to just this device?
Maybe Konami.
Who's going to do that?
Metal Gear Survive 2 only on Atari VCS.
Oh my god,
because no one else wants the shit.
The biggest shot that anyone ever had at getting an exclusive on a new platform kind of like this would have been the Ouya, and we saw how that went.
So it's Linux based, so that means it should technically be able to run Steam, though. Is that their angle, or
depends on which version of Steam they're running? But theoretically, that would be something
if
they could do
if they left it open
for
enough.
The price point. This is going to be a fairly weak system.
Okay, see, that's what I'm concerned about. I think that's what they have been like mostly hiding is, okay, well, we're still retro, so we have like the core components for that and like a little upscaling, but then they go in and say, well, we're also kind of modern, but they won't reveal those specs, so I have no clue. So I did read that it does support 4K, but they didn't say how well it supports 4K. So that's where things get hazy, and I don't know. I can't find anything anywhere saying exactly what's inside the thing. So
that's kind of this whole project in general. The whole project in general is just hazy. They won't give any kind of concrete information on what's included, what it'll run,
because they don't know.
Yeah, it's like
they just don't know.
They can't even tell us if it'll run Netflix or YouTube.
Wait, are you serious?
It will run streaming services.
It'll run streaming services, streaming video and streaming music. Real general stuff, nothing specific.
So are they just gonna like run a web browser through their Linux and then put it as a streaming
maybe.
service?
Probably so. That's probably what it's going to be.
It's super easy. I don't know. I don't expect it to honestly even like. This seems like more of a niche thing. Like the Sega, Sega did the same kind of thing when the SNES Mini came out with the Genesis Mini and all that. And this almost seems like they started on that bandwagon and then they went, we need to do something more to get back on the gaming market. But they're not even the same group, so what the hell are you doing? Like I don't.
And that's not what they're pitching it as, because they're not just like, well, this is just for playing Atari games. They're trying to pitch this as this all-in-one device that is gonna revolutionize. I don't.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to pitch it as like a hip new blend between a streaming box and a new video game console.
So they're doing like an Xbox One, but shitty, is what I'm understanding.
Kinda, yeah.
That's what Microsoft was pitching as an all-in-one device, and now they're like, we're about the games, actually.
Well, it's almost like somebody saw the plans for the Ouya, but never saw how the Ouya turned out, and decided, well, hey, that sounds like a good idea. Let's do that.
Yeah, and the Ouya at least had like some kind of games. Like it still had like the kind of mobile stuff that wasn't on other systems. So there was a little bit of I guess wiggle room there at that point. But I don't see the value in it. I think what it is, like $200 for the special one or something like that, or $300 for the super special one. Yeah,
that was only if you pre-ordered. I think through Indiegogo.
I think it was $100 for the Ouya.
Oh, sorry. I meant for the Atari VCS. Like, what is it priced as? Yeah.
The early, I think the average price point I saw was something like $300, and there might have been some cheaper ones for early, like super early bird.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the super early people got it for $200, and the people who order it now for around $300. That's not including a controller, and that's not including the version that has the wood paneling on it either.
It's so weird. Yeah, and I don't expect to be like one of the high-end AMD cards. Like I almost expect them to do like a APU, like a CPU with the GPU built in, and that'd be really stupid on their part. But it would save them money in the long run.
It would be cheap,
Yeah. And I don't know, like for $300 you can get a Switch, so it's kind of a shitty price point. Like I think you would have to charge lower.
For $300, you could go buy an Xbox One.
Oh, see, I forgot about that completely.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many other options that do everything this thing wants to do, but better, and also with an established game library.
And you can already get Atari games on them.
You can get. There is no shortage of places to buy Atari. And you know which ones
you're gonna get.
Yeah. You see, you don't want the crappy ones that like no one ever played. You want like the tank games and shit. So I don't know.
Nobody wants Texas Chainsaw Massacre for the 2600.
Hey, I do. I definitely want. I didn't even know that was the title though.
That game is horrible.
I bet.
It was one of the few games I had for Atari. So
that's a pretty rare game on there too.
Oh, really? Is it worth something? Or just like hard to find?
It was like it was hard to find because like they didn't sell it on normal store shelves. You had to like ask the people to get it from the back for you, and it was like the AVGN did a whole episode on it. It's a tough game.
I'll have to check that out. It sounded like you had to go find Leatherface to get a bootleg copy or some shit. You were talking about. But yeah.
And it's like with this Atari box, you have to remember these are the same people that thought people would want to buy a speaker hat with an Atari logo on it.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
That was shortly after they bought the rights to Atari, and they were like, okay, what do we do with this? I don't know. Let's make a hat with a speaker in it, and people will buy it.
That's so stupid. I feel like if they bundled those two together, then there may be some value there. Maybe, like, possibly.
There would be like a little bit of video game hipster market that they could hit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I do like the wood finish, by the way. Like, that looks pretty nice. But
yeah, and if this
it's
thing,
a great looking system. Great looking system.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
very sleek. It's well designed from an aesthetic point of view. But
yeah,
and if this thing costs like, if it cost $80, I could see that being something that I could convince myself to purchase. But
like a collector's item or something.
yeah, just like, hey, look at my cool little Atari box. Oh, and we can watch Netflix on it. But
yeah, exactly.
for $300 for something that's supposedly going to play games and stream in some nebulous way, it's just I don't get who is supposed to buy this.
There's a lot of other options. I think they were targeting like the older gamers, like not even like 30 something, more like 50 something. Maybe they're aiming for. They're like, you guys don't do it. Exactly. It's to get them back in with the nostalgia, but I don't feel anything like even close to the NES Mini, SNES Mini, or anything else there. So
yeah,
I just don't see the value.
By the way, Chris, just to give you an idea, Texas Chainsaw Massacre by itself with no box or manual, it goes for about $100.
Damn. You still got that?
I don't know. I need to check my crate of Atari games and see if it's sitting in there somewhere.
Make yourself a little money, man.
Yeah. I could sell that in my first one of the earliest wireless controllers for the Atari that I've still got.
You have a wireless? Oh, damn. See, I didn't know. I always forget that it had wireless controllers. Then when people say it, I'm always like, mine's immediately blown because that's like really cool.
Yeah.
For stuff back then.
It didn't work.
No.
At all.
It did not.
But hey, occasionally stuff would get inputted. Not necessarily what you wanted, but it would send the
You need
signal.
line of sight, and the sun has to be in the correct position in the sky.
Yeah. Jupiter's got to be aligned with the moon, and then
Yep.
maybe you might get a signal through.
Possibly. Speaking of shameful purchases, though, just such as that. So I guess there was like a few sales, like the GOG sale. I think they had one of those, as well as Amazon Prime's doing like their Prime Day today. I don't think there are many games on that, but of course, Steam Summer Sale went through. You guys buy anything like during that, like a lot of games, little games, or did you even touch it this time?
I only picked up a few games this time. I tried to limit myself to a couple games I'd been thinking about and some stuff I had heard some good things about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was proud of myself this time. I didn't go overboard.
I didn't go as overboard as I usually do. I only bought, I think, 13 games this time.
Oh, Lord. What do
Sorry, go ahead.
What's your total now, like, of unplayed or not looked
All
at
right.
games?
So for people who haven't been following the Clearing the Vault, I keep all of my games installed until I've given them a chance, and if I like them, I keep them installed, and so I can keep playing them. And if I reach a point where I'm just like, I'm done with this game, gets uninstalled. It keeps kind of a fire lit under my butt, so if I'm running out of space, I have to go try out some games. Currently, I have exactly 700 installed.
Jesus.
And that's pretty good because I've got somewhere between 24 and 2,500 in my library.
Oh, God.
So yeah, I've actually I have about the same number installed as I have less than I did installed about this time last year.
That's great. Yeah.
I've been working it down at a faster rate than I'm gaining games. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of that.
That's not bad. Yeah. It sounds like the 13 additional isn't too much of an increase. So
Drop in the bucket.
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't buy too much this time. I bought Ni no Kuni 2 because I was concerned about not getting that on sale. And then I think I bought Shadow Warrior 2 for Austin and myself. And then I can't remember
fun with that.
anything else I bought. I don't think I got anything else. So those are the two things I got. I was very small this time. I wanted to get like some of the other games, but it just feels like the sales aren't as Steam sale at least aren't like as impactful as they used to be. Like the flash sales, I miss them a lot. How they used to be like
really
$1
miss the flash sales.
for a really high quality game, like for $1. I was like, oh God, and I would buy things like ridiculously at that point. But
Yeah.
and it's kind of like more everyone things on sale at once. I can kind of look through at my leisure. I'm like, whatever. I don't need these right now. They'll go on sale again later.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as far as my pile of shame, I don't have nearly as many as you right now, Austin. I want to say like 200 I haven't even touched, and that's higher than I used to have, where I barely had any games on Steam. So reaching up there. Thanks to the Humble Bundle, mostly though, because it's like every month I get 8 new games about. So I mean, it's grown because of that bundle. Mm-hmm. God damn. But yeah. So the sales they seemed all right. Was there any like super sale that I may have missed that you guys picked up on, or was it kind of just like I think just barely? Not many things. They're all in like ridiculous sales this time around.
Yeah, it's all kind of average. You know, about the highest you'll see on average is something will be 50% off. You don't really see that kind of flash sale of like 90% off on
something crazy,
high profile title. But and that's the thing I miss the most about the flash sales, because like with the way the Steam sale runs now, you check it the first day, you pick out whatever you're going to get, and then the sale never changes. So you never have a reason to go back and see what new games are on sale. Or I missed the hunt of like checking Steam religiously to be like, okay, what's on the flash sale now? Okay, what's on there now?
It was more exciting, and you felt like when you checked in like multiple times a day, because it was every 8 hours they would change. Yeah. And so it was like if you were checking this thing 3 times a day, you were being rewarded for your effort, and you were getting some ridiculous deals, and then you could vote and be like, oh, I want this to be in the next flash sale, or things like that. And
man, I used to have like a 8-hour alarm clocks just going off, and I was like, I gotta go check now. And I'd run over and figure out what was in there. I was like, oh, this shit sucks. Then I walk away, and then sometimes be like, oh my god, and I throw it in the bucket, buy like 3 or 4 games because they're all like $5, and I was like, I needed all these this whole time. So,
and I think not having those deals available for the entire sale made developers more willing to discount them further
heavily. Yeah, because it was like 8 hours versus 3 or 4 days straight of those really low prices. That's true. Yeah, because I mean, like Nier Automata, I've been waiting on that to go on sale. I missed a sale apparently like right before the summer sale started, but that has not dropped below I think 50. But I guarantee if that game was around during a flash sale, it would have hit like 75% off, something ridiculous, because we could have voted on it, and I know everyone would have said, "Your Automata." Let's get it. But yeah, I'm hoping Steam. I know Valve wants to give like more exposure, and that's the main reason they don't want to like have the flash sales, because obviously, if there's a flash sale, people are going to buy those more than the main ones. So I hope they kind of look at it as well. These are fun. Let's go back to it or something, because man, right now I don't care as much as I used to.
Well, and especially considering they keep trying to do the mini game things surrounding buying or looking through games on when the Steam sale's going on, and it's like without that flash sale, it's like, why would I keep coming back to your sale page to look through queues and collect these cards for this limited time event? It's like, when I had the flash sale, I had a reason to come back. But with the sales being static, it's like, why would you expect people to keep coming back just to get these cards, I guess?
Yeah, I guess they're thinking like if I don't know if the sale lasts like 2 or 3 weeks or whatever, but maybe like you see it before you get paid, then you get your check, then you come back and you're like, yeah, but I've never seen anyone do that. Like if you have the money, then you're probably going to buy all the stuff the first day after looking through it, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, you look through your wish list and go, what's on sale, what's at a price that I'm willing to pay, and then
knock it out then. Exactly. Well, with that said, I have been curious, kind of like with the discount thing. I know Nintendo kind of wrote out the gold coins and all that to do their discount. And then they've been playing around with their Switch Online, and we apparently have to wait till September to find out exactly what else is in there. So, and that's come from Kimishima, like the current president, like he, during a forecasting, whatever, I guess, with their investors, he explained basically, we're going to have to wait until September to learn any more details. And it's kind of weird that it's launching in September, but we have to wait till September. And I kind of talked about this on Bombchu News. It feels to me like either they're trying to lower our expectations as low as possible because there's nothing else in there, or they're trying to lower it because they have all kinds of stuff so that everyone impulse buys it when it comes out. So what do you even imagine they could be holding out on, I guess? Because we expect more games. We expect like maybe some more discount kind of weird stuff, but I can't think of anything else they could reveal outside of that would make like the buying decision basically like for us there.
So I think they've pretty much revealed everything that's going to be in there already, and I think the details that they're going to reveal are going to be kind of like the fine-grained stuff of here's where you go to pay for it, here are the options to pay for it, here's the month-to-month versus the year cost, here's exactly how these menus work of accessing this, that, and the other, and here's exactly how playing the NES games online works, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, honestly, at the price that it is, which is super low, having online play and then having this set of online NES games, that by itself is enough to get me on board, and a lot of people, I think.
Oh yeah.
If they throw anything extra in there, that's cool. I think they've pretty much shown off everything that is going to be a feature of this. And whenever they do a direct or talk about it more, I think it's just going to be kind of the fine-tooth stuff. Kind of like, you remember the Wii U presentation that they did a long time ago when they were getting into like here's the white one, it has 8 gigs, and here's the black one that has 32 gigs, and they were showing like with the beads that they poured into a glass of like capacities and stuff like
so
that.
Stupid.
I think it'll be something kind of like that.
It definitely could be. Yeah. I'm hoping they do a little bit more than that. Like, and I kind of mentioned this to Austin when we were talking the other day. Like, they have online games coming out now, like more robust online games, like Mario Tennis, and I can't think of anything else. But Splatoon 2 is already online, obviously, and it feels like this should roll right into it because they already want to do like this kind of DLC, dedicated service, whatever. I don't even know if does Splatoon 2 do dedicated service already, or how do they?
I believe it's dedicated servers, but I'm not 100%
maybe for
sure.
like ranked. I'm guessing it could be dedicated. Okay, but I imagine like usually when people say, "Hey, we want you to pay us for these things," we want to have more dedicated servers, give you more infrastructure, and then also obviously make some money on the side. Is what I understand, but. Nintendo could just get away with exactly what you said. Just like, here's your games, here's this, and our presentation is just how to access this crap. And that may be why they're waiting so long, because like me, a lot of people have their hopes up for something ridiculous, but I think I'm starting to slowly lower those expectations just based on what they've been saying lately.
Yeah, well, and like you said, with that low of a price point, it's because I think it's $20 for a full year.
Yeah.
For the online. Like you said, for online play and the NES online games, $20 a year, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the things surrounding the online service that still have me worried, like the fact that voice chat is still tied into that crappy smartphone app.
Unless you're playing a game like Fortnite,
apparently.
Yeah.
So,
or if you're playing Splatoon in a local lobby, then with multiple switches, then you can use the microphone on this or the voice chat on the Switch without using.
Well, what makes me happy about Fortnite supporting that is that just means that that's like a Nintendo choice for Nintendo's own games online.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
and it sucks because you love to play Nintendo games and you're probably playing those online,
mm-hmm.
but Nintendo's not just like crippling other developers from doing that, which is great. That's really good to hear.
Yeah.
What I would also be interested in seeing is this paid online service only going to be to play Nintendo games online? Or is that going to be to play any game online, like Fortnite,
that's a good point.
Stuff like that?
Yeah. Because they could definitely do that, and I always hate... I say hate. I do hate. I hate when companies do that just for like getting online with games that need online, like as a core of it. Like I think I don't remember if we needed it for Final Fantasy XI on Xbox, but I feel like we did. Did we have to have gold to actually play Final Fantasy XI, if I remember correctly, or am I misremembering that?
I'm pretty sure that you did, because even Netflix required you to have Xbox Live Gold.
Yeah.
On 360.
Yeah, and that's kind of a weird thing for me, because like you're paying the subscription for Xbox Live you're paying your internet bill, you're paying the subscription for Final Fantasy, and then on top of that you have to pay the subscription for Xbox Live, and that feels like a lot of things at once. And people don't really talk about it, obviously, because MMOs are a different kind of breed, and paying the multiple subscriptions is a different breed. But I hope they don't hide like a free game behind their service so you can go online in that free game. I think that's a little less intrusive, but it kind of defeats the whole spirit of like free and then online. It's a weird thing there. But I guess we'll have to see, because even right now you can play like Final Fantasy 14 on PlayStation without PlayStation Plus, but you can't play like Yakuza 6 online without PlayStation Plus.
Right.
So
okay, and looking at some historical threads, it looks like you could have Xbox Live Silver to do FF11.
Okay, so maybe MMOs are a little bit, maybe Square's like better with that kind of stuff. Maybe they give them like a cut, but yeah.
FF11 like bypassed a ton of stuff on the Xbox 360 because that was doing cross console with PS2.
That's true.
that was it bypassed Xbox Live Gold, and it also bypassed Microsoft's like update system because they had their own updater built into Play Online.
I did not think about that. Nice.
and then like it used like the system cache to install a bunch of its files, and that was a really janky setup that they kind of snuck past, and I'm pretty sure that's why they couldn't put FF14 on the Xbox.
Microsoft's like, fuck you guys.
You guys Frankensteined our system last time you put a game out.
That's pretty good, though. Yeah, I don't know. I guess in my head, like the perfect thing that I would want from the Nintendo Switch Online would be, I mean, most people ask for a bigger library, but for me, it's definitely more just like giving us a little bit more incentive to keep it going. Like, and again, $3.99 is so cheap that it's hard to ask for more. It's kind of a weird thing, but you know, it would be nice to like if you have this enrolled, then like you play Mario Tennis, you get like a new character a month or something stupid like that. Not maybe a month, but maybe like when it comes out, you get that character because they have them in the game already. I saw like all the ones already there, but they're unlocked by doing the online tournaments, which I thought was stupid. But you know, you got to keep people playing. So it'd be nice to have like some incentive to keep it going and then play online with the service that we were paying for it. You're also going online because right now I can't think of any game I'd actually play online besides Mario Tennis, and that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Smash Bros. Or
oh yeah, see, and that's the other
Mario
thing.
Kart.
Yeah. And I guess it's going to be the real thing because right after it comes out in September, Smash Bros. Coming out in December, I think it is. So, I mean, like, that's going to be the first hardcore Nintendo Online, whatever title you want to have. So, if it's still shitty online, then people are going to want to know why they're paying for it, obviously.
Well, and then that's the other thing with this online is if they're going to expect people to pay for online access for these games, then they need to fix problems like I had talked about in the Bombchu news of the hackers in Splatoon.
Right.
Like, it's still a huge it was a huge problem in Splatoon 1, but it was on the Wii U and it was free online, so there's only so much you can complain about. But with them changing it to now you're going to have to pay for the online, well, they need to start addressing these kind of problems. They can't expect people to pay for an online service that's then just plagued by hackers that Nintendo knows about the problem, but isn't doing anything or doesn't know how to fix the problem. They need to do something. That money's got to
be going towards some sort of team that's actually doing
something there,
maintaining the service. You know,
yeah.
So I imagine that stuff like that will start to get dealt with. If not, that would be pretty disappointing.
Agreed. Yeah. And people always say like Nintendo doesn't know how to handle stuff. I guarantee they do. They just have like certain ways they do stuff, and I don't know what they think half the time. But like anytime people are like they don't know how to do online, they do. They do all the research just like other companies. They just don't do it.
Didn't originally.
Oh yeah,
they're coming around now. But when they put the Wii U out and they were doing online, they did not look at all at what Xbox or PlayStation was doing, and they were just like they just did their own thing. They just made it up as they went, and it shows. Unfortunately, but this time around, I think they're actually looking at what else is out there, and because you know, cloud saves. That's who doesn't have cloud saves anymore at this point, right? Things like that.
Speaking of cloud saves, that does remind me of the other thing that Nintendo Switch Online is technically doing, I guess, over in other countries right now with like the Resident Evil 7 cloud version.
Oh yeah, the cloud
Switch,
version of that.
And then like a PSO2 cloud version. So I wonder if that's like their gateway into maybe bringing some titles like that to the Switch in America. It's like the Switch Online, you pay for it, and then you have to buy that, but you get to play those games over the cloud or whatever. That'd be A-okay with me, I think. I think I'd be all right with that. And I would like PSO2 in America, so, you know.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That'd be badass, but it sounded like you grumbled a little bit there for Resident Evil 7, or was that a happy?
No, that was a grumble.
Okay.
I have zero belief in game streaming outside of the local network, but
not with the way internet infrastructures are handled now.
Yeah.
I mean, some people swear by it and they say it works just fine, and it drives me up the wall. Even doing it on a local network, if you're not like directly wired in, it just drives me nuts.
Yeah, there definitely is more. I feel like Japan does have a better infrastructure. It's a lot smaller, so they can control a lot more of like what happens across the country. So maybe that's why it works well there. If it works well, I have no clue. Just in general, like PS Now, I've used a lot, and it actually improved as I used it. I don't use it anymore, but like it got really good at the end to where I never got disconnected anymore and shit. But my internet also went up to like 250 megabits per second, so that may have been part of it. Yeah,
latency and all of that, the artifacting, just it never looks quite right.
Yeah.
It looks like it's compressed, and
I haven't.
It just drives me crazy.
I haven't checked out like the Nvidia stuff, I guess, where you like just basically play on one of their GPU farms or some shit like that. But I imagine if anyone's gotten better at it, maybe Nvidia has figured something out. But I agree with you there. It's too inconsistent. So when you start saying, "Oh, this is only cloud only," then I start getting scared about that as well. Definitely worth grumble. Definitely worth the grumble. Speaking of Sony, though, how do you guys think on their current stance on crossplay? They've come out, they've said a couple things, but I don't think they're changing. Yeah,
it's so.
I don't think they are either.
Yeah, I think they're gonna bite down hard and they're taking their stance and they're sticking by it. I don't think they're gonna add crossplay.
I saw all these articles that were just like, "Oh, Sony puts out a statement that they're gonna add crossplay," and it's if you read their statement, it doesn't say that at all. It says that they're sure that they're going to come up with something, with a solution that their users will understand.
Yeah, not even their users will like or that they'll find enjoyable. It's they'll understand.
Like they need to come up with a statement that on why they're not adding crossplay.
Yeah,
that people will be like, "Oh, I see, and I get that this is final and it's not." They might. It could be that I'm misinterpreting that, but I think that was very vague to get. They're definitely adding it or anything like that.
The statement, it was vague and ominous, almost.
Yeah.
Like it was just like, you're gonna accept our decision. Okay.
I think the pressure is really high for them
extremely,
to do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially after all that stuff
way.
with Epic, it's like...
Okay, I mean, it's multiple things now. So it started off with Rocket League, then you got Minecraft thrown in, and now Fortnite, and these are three of the biggest games on the planet. And if you're on any platform other than Sony, you can play with your friends no matter what, unless you got fucked and you're on PlayStation.
Yeah.
And you're not really providing value to your customers by doing that, and it's supposed to be all about the players. I get that they apparently they don't want people to be able to buy something on one system and use it on another, so I get why on Fortnite that kind of makes sense. But then you take something like Rocket League, and so their other stance is, oh well, with Minecraft, there's kids playing this and we can't be responsible for what's showing up on other platforms. Yeah, that's true.
Fair enough, yeah.
But Rocket League, you're able to play cross-platform with PC. So why can't you play cross-platform with the Switch or the Xbox?
Right.
It's not like you can log into your account and use your items that you bought on another platform or anything like that. It's strictly just trying to play with other people. Neither of those arguments apply to that situation, and they just say, no, you can't. And there's no reasoning behind it.
Yeah, and and the more that comes out, like after we've had multiple games where I think it was in Rocket League or Minecraft where they accidentally, quote unquote, switched on crossplay for a little while, where Xbox
it was Fortnite,
Fortnite, yeah. And they're like, oops, totally didn't mean to do that. And it's like, okay, for Sony, these aren't arguments they're coming up with. These are just excuses.
Yeah.
And they need to quit coming out with excuses and just make their stance public as to what they're actually doing.
Yeah, and for me, like I was trying to figure out exactly what they could benefit from, like not making crossplay. Like I understand the need of wanting to keep your environment kind of closed and controlled, but at the same time, when you have like Microsoft, Nintendo, and PC, we've never cared. PC doesn't care. So have all these connected, and then they're all like, well, we can do this, why can't you? And then you just say, I don't want to. At that point, it just comes off more as arrogant rather than trying to protect, your brand or anything like that. Because if they had said, hey, our infrastructure doesn't work this way, which obviously now that you mentioned that thing with Fortnite, it isn't true. then at this point it's just they want to keep everything within the PlayStation side so that people aren't tempted to go buy the other systems after playing it on other systems. But
I mean, if you're playing on PlayStation, you're gonna keep playing on PlayStation.
Exactly.
You're a PlayStation fan, but the only thing that adding crossplay would do is not fuck you for having friends that play on other systems. Because if you can't play with any of your other friends who are on other systems, then next generation, what you're probably going to do is get a different system so you can play with everybody, no matter which one they picked, as long as they didn't pick Sony.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, it feels like a very old school way of thinking where it's like, if we let them play with the other systems, then they won't be forced to buy our systems, and they can only buy our system. That's the only one they need to buy, and this is the one where they play games.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not, you can't keep doing that. Like, it's, like I said, Microsoft is doing it. Nintendo, of all people, allows you to play with other people online. Like,
when they put out that Minecraft commercial, and at the end they were like, Microsoft, Nintendo playing together, and they had their logos like together at the end. I got such a big boner from that.
It was
I don't
amazing.
even like Minecraft, but it's just like, oh, yes, this is just the biggest punch in the face to Sony. This is great. Seeing Reggie being asked about it all the time on the news, just like, oh, what's going on? Why isn't Sony doing this? He's just playing it cool. Like, hey, we make the decisions we do for our developers to be able to do what they want to do. And, other platform holders, that's their decision to make. We're in talks with them. We'll try to work on it. But, in the end, it's up to them. It's just like, oh, classy response. Oh,
and the problem for me is like it starts affecting developers' work. Like the guy, I forgot his name now, but Todd Howard. He was in an interview about Fallout 76, and he was like, we can't do crossplay, and it's because of Sony. When developers start directly calling you out, I think there's an issue there when they could just say, well, everyone else is cool, but
because this is supposed to be
Sony,
the system for developers. This is supposed to be the system for the players.
Exactly.
On this front, it's not the system for either.
And that hurts me because I'm like, well, Fallout 76, I'll get it for my girlfriend on a PS4 and I'll get myself on PC. Oh, they're not having crossplay because of them. Okay. So then now I have to figure out how I'm going to get us to play together. I probably have to build her a PC and get it ready. So that's a problem. But guess what? They just drove me away from PlayStation by doing that action instead of bringing me just to keep buying games on their system. It's a stupid. It's doing the opposite of what they want. If I'm understanding what they want correctly. So
exactly.
I don't know. I don't think they're ever going to change though. That's the problem.
No. If this many developers and games and players and everybody's asking them and clamoring for it, it's like, the fact that they're still not listening and they're still holding firm means I don't think that they're going to.
That they'd have to have a direct correlation between this event and their loss in revenue, like a major loss in revenue. Then they'll be like, oh, I guess we need crossplay, guys. Like that's the only way they can stop. But right now, at least for this generation, that's not going to happen. Like too many people sign up for PS Plus. Too many people with PS4s, they could just sit pretty and work off the PS Plus money. But we'll see next generation. Maybe they'll wise up, or maybe next E3 they'll be like, "Hey, crossplay guys, finally, woo!" And that'll be their champion statement or some shit. I don't know. Yeah. So we got one more topic, and we got about a little bit of time left. So let's go ahead and dive into that one. Now, I'm not too sure about this myself, but you mentioned that some employees were leaving Bioware like in droves, or does it look like something's happening there? Or
so it's still all really, the whole situation is just very reminiscent of what happened before Andromeda released. So it's with Anthem, and they just had their lead writer, I'm going to butcher his last name, Drew Karpyshyn, I believe is his name. He had left BioWare a few years ago because he had some solo projects he wanted to work on. But he had come back to the company to start writing for Anthem. And he just announced earlier this month that he was no longer working at BioWare, I think as of March.
Okay.
And there's another rumor flying around right now that the boss above him, that writer, has also supposedly left BioWare as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And these two writers, these are the guys who did a lot of the writing for Star Wars The Old Republic, and they also were the two of the main writers for Mass Effect 1 and 2.
So the good games.
And I think Baldur's Gate as well, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
I believe so. Yeah. So yeah, they're the good Bioware
The good
writers.
games. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is exactly what happened with Andromeda. Is the months leading up to Andromeda, it was just person after person is announcing they're leaving the company, or this person's announcing that they're done working on Andromeda, or there would be backstage rumors coming out that Andromeda development was troubled. And
BioWare is in a weird. They've got a weird history because they just kind of were on their own for a while, and they made stuff like Baldur's Gate. They were doing Knights of the Old Republic,
Jade
stuff
Empire.
like that. Jade
Ooh.
Empire.
Mhm.
yeah,
And then they put Mass Effect 1 out the same year that they got bought out by EA.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like they made that without any direction from EA, I would have to guess.
yeah.
And they had already set their roadmap out for making, like, basically at that point, they had Mass Effect that they could just do without any interference.
Right.
Dragon Quest came out 2 years later, and I don't know, they might have been a good chunk into pre-production on that already when they got bought out. I'm not sure. Maybe that had some influence from EA, or maybe EA went, y'all made Mass Effect, go ahead, do your thing.
Yeah.
But along the way, EA just piled every RPG developer that they had into BioWare, so that BioWare was their only RPG developer. So then you have these multiple teams of people who are just crashed together into one company, and you start getting games like Sonic and the Dark Brotherhood. And
Wait, what?
Yeah.
they made
I did not know.
they made a Sonic RPG
What
for the DS.
That's awesome.
You start getting like Dragon Quest 2 and some other, so that now BioWare it's like, okay, can we just have BioWare? And
Yeah.
then if you have other
Yeah.
teams, they don't have to be they don't have to be like the BioWare B team making Andromeda. They could just be some other team that's a different studio.
Right.
I don't understand. I don't know.
I think you're onto something there, because as he was as Chris was talking, and as well as you, I started thinking about like how EA is probably the contributing factor to people leaving, because the less success a developer has, especially with EA, like the more pressure they get to make a better game the next time. And of course, they've seen other
The
companies.
more input EA is
Right.
going to put in.
And they're going to be like,
Yeah.
you need to add this in so we make money off of this. You need to add this in. We can't have this thing. It takes too long to make. And then it keeps getting like worse and worse when you have a publisher on your neck like the whole time. That's why Bethesda is kind of different, because they have a publisher, then they have a quote development studio within it that's just Bethesda. And he can do whatever the hell he wants, because they know he knows what the hell he's doing, and they trust him to do whatever he's going to do.
And that's the biggest thing is trust. It's like EA clearly does not trust the people in charge at BioWare. Otherwise, they wouldn't keep meddling in their affairs and piling on all these demands. And
I mean, I don't even think it's really trust so much as they don't understand what BioWare does, because BioWare, they craft stories, and they're first and foremost, like BioWare's always been storytellers first and then gameplay second. Like that's always been the kind of their thing. Like Gen Empire had pretty good combat, it was all right, but the story is what drove it, because you could do all these different things. You had all these weird, deep storylines for no reason off the path. KOTOR, a lot of the reason people love that is like the influence between the dark and the light, and then going into each direction, and how different the story would form,
yeah, trying to play KOTOR is a nightmare. That game does not control well at all.
Exactly,
But that story is incredible.
Yeah, and that's because they took the time to craft the story first, and then they went into the gameplay. But now it kind of seems like they're focusing more on gameplay. Like Anthem is literally just Mass Effect with robots right now, from what I can tell. And then the shooting, I don't know, maybe we'll play a little better, but it looks really generic from what I've seen so far, gameplay-wise. It looks beautiful, and the flying is cool. Everything else looks but it doesn't seem like the story's as big of a focus, because they're like, well, you go from the multiplayer into like a single player hub where you do like, you get your quest, then you go back out to the multiplayer. And it's like that. So how can I get invested in that? And maybe they'll prove me wrong. Maybe it's gonna be like the best story ever created ever. But Mass Effect Andromeda kind of felt the exact same way, where it's just go out and do all this shit. okay, there's a little bit of story in here, but you can tell it wasn't crafted correctly. They didn't focus on the animations. They didn't make it believable. They just went, here's a bunch of gameplay from the old games with some better graphics, kind of. So,
well, Mass Effect Andromeda also wasn't really like talked about a whole lot ahead of time, right? Because like they quote unquote announced it with some guy from the team wearing a T-shirt for it at a game convention.
Yeah.
At like GDC or something like that, and then went, oh, nobody saw my shirt, and yeah, that's the game coming out. And then it was like there was just leading up to its release, I don't even remember hearing that much talk about it in gaming news, like compared to something like another Mass Effect game.
No, that was the thing. Leading up to it, most of the news coming out about Andromeda was all the employees leaving BioWare.
Yeah. So, and I feel like we've gotten a lot more of a look at Anthem, especially much further out ahead of release, to where it feels like maybe they've actually had something polished that they've actually been working on for longer.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because Andromeda, the story wasn't great, the gameplay wasn't great, and then on top of that, you had just stupid polish issues.
Yeah.
Like, the faces.
Oh God, those faces.
The faces.
Those faces
man.
are the things of nightmares.
And then after it came out, they were just like, yeah, no
We're not
DLC,
supporting it anymore.
No more updates.
No more Mass Effect.
For a while.
Yeah. For a while, quote unquote, aka until we decide to close BioWare.
That's kind of how it feels, yeah. Because, again, I think it's mostly EA, the reason they're leaving, though, because especially when they're higher up, like head writer, stuff like that, they're getting pressure like, can you change the story? Not even change the story, just can you make this part faster? Like, that's probably what they're getting told.
That's what they did with Visceral.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and it's the same
That's
thing.
what they did with Titanfall.
Yep.
You know, they buy a developer because they've got some really awesome IP that they're making, and they go, okay, we've got to have this. We're going to let you do whatever you want. And they do until it doesn't meet sales numbers.
Right.
And then they go, all right, we're going to step in, tell you what to do. Hey, look at that. Everything that people loved about your franchise is
It's
gone.
gone immediately.
Your sales tanked. This is your fault. We're closing you down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And then it's the same thing that happened with Amy Hennig and her Star Wars game that she was trying to put out through EA. It's like they kept telling her to not to focus on the story. It's got to be
because it was a Visceral game.
Can't do a single player thing. It's got to have multiplayer in it. People don't play single player games anymore. All that stuff.
Stupid shit.
Eventually, just forced her to say "fuck this, I'm out," and then she left. And
I want BioWare to do well, but since they are part of EA, I don't. Unless EA gives them enough freedom to do what they can. Like, they have some indie studios under them, and they're like, yeah, you guys can do whatever the hell you want. Yay. But they don't give that same freedom to, like, their second party people there. Basically, they're just like, we're part of your company, but we kind of work independently, but we still don't have the freedom of an independent company like all these indie title guys that are coming in and doing whatever the hell they want and making good games.
And then on top of that, they've got these insane sales expectations that EA sets for these titles. Like Dead Space 3, I think they were saying had to sell like 20 million copies or some insane number like that before they would consider.
I don't know if it was that many, but it was an insane
like it was way
copies.
too high. It was like, how is that what you're expecting people to, like, them to sell that many copies of this game to be successful? There's no way it costs that much to develop.
And that was with them putting microtransactions in it.
God,
which was like, that was one of the early ones to have that.
Yeah, and they're the biggest assholes when it comes to that stuff. I mean, we saw Battlefront 2 and what they're aiming for in that, and of course that got squashed by just Outlash. So Anthem won't have that in it, but it will have something probably more sinister. We'll probably see something really weird in there.
And it's like I keep wanting to stay optimistic about Anthem because I love BioWare. They've made some of my favorite games, but it's the combination of that Anthem looking more and more like it's just Destiny but with jetpacks.
Yeah.
And it's like a combination of that and all this, like all the writers leaving. It's just I'm getting Andromeda flashbacks, and it's troublesome.
Exactly.
This is a really interesting spot to be in because everyone who's a big BioWare fan is really worried about Anthem. And there are not very many BioWare games that I like. That's just because I don't like the gameplay in a lot of their like I couldn't get into Mass Effect. I liked the story in KOTOR. I couldn't get into the gameplay, different things like that. This is the first time I've seen a BioWare game that I'm like, I want to play that. And so like I feel it's weird being not a BioWare fan and being excited about this game where everybody else is the fan of BioWare and they're just like, oh fuck, this is gonna be a shit show.
Yeah.
Like I honestly, this game could have no story, and as the gameplay lives up to my expectations, I'll be pretty excited for it. But that's just kind of a weird spot to be in.
Definitely, yeah. All right, guys. Well, I think we're over by about 6 minutes, but that's okay. We got into a nice heated topic there at the end, so I guess we'll go ahead and sign out here, and I'll see you guys next time.
Catch you later.
Bye.